Just as the king was about to rejoice, his kinsmen hushed him and asked him to sit down. Worried as in, what happened? Are they not happy that the queen had a safe delivery? They excused the midwife and asked her to leave. She left, but perched at the corner to eavesdrop on what the elders were saying. Once upon a time, in a southeast kingdom called Dichala, a great king, then in his teenage years, was young, handsome, warm, playful, friendly, and loved by the people of Dichala. His name is Dozie. Dozie was the only child of his parents and had no other siblings. He was the first and the last, and while growing up, had only one friend, Chidinma, who he was so fond of. As they grew older, Prince Dozie fell in love with Chidinma, but didn't know how to say it to her. But when the parents of Prince Dozie died mysteriously, Prince Dozie, devastated, had no choice but to become the next king of Dichala. But the tradition demands that he needs to be married before fully crowned as the king. Dozie had no choice but to summon courage to propose to the queen of his heart. Chidinma accepted, because she too had fallen for Dozie. But it's not in the African culture for a woman to make advances towards a man. Both of them had a grand wedding ceremony that was well attended by the high and mighty from all across the kingdoms nearby. Same day, Prince Dozie was crowned King Dozie, while Chidinma became Queen Chidinma. Almost immediately, the queen took in and gave birth to their first child. King Dozie was so happy because since his parents didn't have a female child, the gods deemed it wise to bless him with a female child. He was so happy. The kingdom celebrated with him. Without wasting time, Queen Chidinma took in again, giving birth to another girl. The king was delighted, because it was as if the gods saw his heart of gratitude over the first female and decided to bless him with another female child, though he was so excited about the second girl. His kinsmen did not really share in his joy for a second daughter in a role, but they remained silent, because he was still young and would bear as many as he wanted. On the arrival of the third child, the midwife came to the king and told him and his kinsmen that the queen has safely delivered another bouncing baby girl. Just as the king was about to rejoice, his kinsmen hushed him and asked him to sit down. Worried as in, what happened? Are they not happy that the queen had a safe delivery? They excused the midwife and asked her to leave. She left, but perched at the corner to eavesdrop on what the elders were saying. The elders told the king that at this point, you have to take a second wife. The king was shocked and asked, "Second wife? Why?" "Because it seems our queen cannot give birth to male children," they replied. The king, really surprised at their decision, asked, "So marriage is all about male children now?" "Absolutely not," they replied. "But you are not an ordinary man with just an ordinary wife. You are the king, and the queen owe you a duty to give you the next heir to the throne of the Chala. And last we checked, a woman cannot be the king of this kingdom," the elders said. The king replied, "But I still love my wife and cannot send her away." One of the elders said, "No one said you should send your first wife away." Another stood and said, "As a matter of fact, anyone who insinuates such will be beheaded instantly, here and now, without a trial. All we are asking is that you take a second wife that would bear you a son that will sit on the throne while you are gone. Or do you want the kingship to leave your family?" The king knew at the back of his mind that they were right. He needs a male child to succeed him after he is gone. This is his third child, and he's still a girl. He spoke to his wife about it later in the day. The queen told him that the midwife has told her everything the elder said. "I can have the guards behead that midwife for eavesdropping on the meeting of the king's men." Queen Chidinma smiled and replied, "Be calming down, my friend. You will do no such thing." King Dozie said, "You are lucky I love you." Chidinma said, "Do you have a choice?" Though the king declined, the queen pleaded with him that their love and happiness will always come first. No matter the situation of things, both of them have been through a lot together and came out triumph. This issue will not rob them the kingship that has been in his lineage for generations. He has her full blessings to take a second wife. I have been queen for too long, male child or not. I can't stop being queen just because of the issue at hand," she joked with the king. The king later selected another beautiful maiden from the same kingdom and took her to wife. Her name was Onyinye. The king, being generally loved by everyone for his kind heart, didn't fail in his responsibilities to his new wife and made sure she never felt like a second-class citizen in the palace. He would go for functions with both his wives by his side, unless one is not disposed. Onyinye, however, on her own part, was nice to the king and the queen, but had her own secret agenda. Since the queen was not able to give the king a son, she sought a seer to bless her womb so she would deliver a son for the king, who would eventually become the king of the entire kingdom. The seer asked her a simple question: "Are you in love with the king, or you just want your son to be king?" She answered, "Both of them." But the seer said, "No, you must choose one." Instead of choosing that she was in love with the king, she said her top priority is for her son to become the next king of the Chala. The seer said, "The gods has heard you. You may leave now." Then Queen Onyinye asked, "Does that mean I will bear a son?" The seer said, "Yes, you shall bear the king a son." She was happy and rewarded the seer handsomely and left. In no distant time, Onyinye was pregnant, and the entire kingdom and kingsmen were happy. And based on the record time which Onyinye took in, they were very sure that this one was definitely going to be a boy, because they trust their king was a sharpshooter. Few weeks after Onyinye was discovered to be pregnant, her attitude drastically changed. Because she believed that the seer said she would bear the king a son, which means her son would be the heir to the throne, and she would stop feeling like a second-class citizen in the palace. Because this was Queen Onyinye's first pregnancy, she had all the symptoms of the first pregnancy, which was really not easy for her and everyone in the palace. Except the king. She tried so hard not to display the attitude towards the king, but to every other person, she was so mean, including the queen, who on several occasions confronted her, but she would put the blame on her condition and that it was not easy for her. But underneath, Queen Onyinye knew what she was doing and was constantly reminding everyone that it's not easy to carry a male child. So everyone tried as much as they could to ignore her, though it was not easy. 5 months into Queen Onyinye's pregnancy, Queen Chidinma took ill, and despite all the healing herbs she took, she was not getting any better. A healer was then summoned, and after thorough examination on the queen, she went back to the king and his kingsmen. The king asked, "How is she? Is my queen going to be okay?" The healer was silent. The kingsmen said, "Speak up, woman. We haven't got all day. What is wrong with the queen of the Chala kingdom?" The healer said she does not know how to say it. The king, getting furious, now said, "Woman, you better loosen your tongue, or I'll call in the guards to rip it out of your mouth with their bare hands." The queen. The king, getting impatient, he was about to give the order when the healer said, "The queen is pregnant." The shock of the news took the king aback. His eyes wide open, and the entire king's men were shocked. One of the elders summoned courage and said, "That's a good thing. But since it was not her first, how come she's getting so sick like it's her first?" The healer replied, "For her health, I have given her herbs that will stabilize her. The sickness lingered because she was drinking the wrong herbs. Now we know what's wrong with her. She will be okay in a day or two. But the illness or the pregnancy is not really the challenge." "Then what is the challenge?" the king asked. "She is 7 months pregnant," the healer replied. The entire room became even more intense. One of the elders said, "Isn't our new queen 5 months pregnant? Meaning I would not have married Queen Onyinye if I knew my wife was already pregnant," says the king. On that note, the elders quickly dismissed the healer and told the king, "Our king, regretting to take a second wife is not what you should be bothered with now. Besides, there are kings across other kingdoms that has 5 to 10 wives with more than 15 sons and daughters. You only have 2 wives and no heir to the throne. So if need be for a 3rd wife, we are solidly behind you. We have sons and daughters all across the world that will raise them as if they were their very own children." so you should not even go there. But I still love my wife, and she was pregnant before I took another maiden to wife, says the king. After giving you 3 beautiful daughters, what makes you think this one would be any different? Or do we wait till you've given birth to 10 girls before you do the needful of taking another wife to bear you a son? Days went into weeks. Weeks went into months, and the tension in the palace increased. The 2 queens were pregnant. Yet Queen Onyinye still holds onto the word the seer gave her, that she will bear the king a son. Queen Chidinma, on her part, was astonished on how she could be pregnant all this while, yet she didn't even notice. Then on that fateful day, the king was outside with Queen Onyinye. They were eating oranges. Queen Onyinye was cutting the orange and giving to the king. All of a sudden, one of the maidens of the palace ran to the king to inform him that the queen was in labor. Queen Onyinye asked harshly, "What kind of labor? Am I not here?" The maiden said, "I mean the first queen, my king." The king was about to run off, but the second queen held him back. "Where do you think you're going?" The king said, "Did you not hear that the queen is in labor? And what are you going to do there?" Queen Onyinye replied, "Are you now a midwife? What would your presence there be? So you want to leave me, who is carrying your male child, to run off to someone that's been giving you only female children? How are you sure that it is not another girl on the way?" The king knew that Queen Onyinye made sense. What use would his presence there be? So he sat back to allow the midwives do their job and get back to him. He waited for some time that seemed like eternity. At last, one of the maidens ran to him and whispered closely to his ears. Without looking at the queen, without looking at the maiden that came to him, he took off as if the entire kingdom was on fire. The maiden that came to call him ran after him. Queen Onyinye was astonished. He has never seen the king run like that. And before you know it, the entire kingdom was filled with joy. The king's men were immediately summoned. A great jubilation spread throughout the entire kingdom of the Chala. A son has been born. Queen Onyinye was not happy. She made claims that she was a lawfully wedded wife, and as far as she was concerned, she took him before Queen Chidinma. The king, being a very wise man, said to her, "Calm your spirit, woman. If your first child is a boy, he will be the heir to the throne of the Chala. This one is just a miracle from the gods. But if what you carry is not a boy, then meet your new king." Time went very fast, and Queen Onyinye gave birth to her first child. Lo and behold, it was a baby girl. The king, being a very kind man, still accepted the baby girl with all his heart, and in no distant time, Queen Onyinye took in for the second time. This time, it was a baby boy. They all grew in strength and wisdom, and the king was very proud of them all. At this point, the king has 6 children, 4 girls and 2 boys, 3 girls and 1 boy from the first wife, 1 girl and 1 boy from the second wife. They all grew up to be very beautiful and handsome young men and women. The first daughter of the first wife, Queen Chidinma, who was named Amaka, for one reason or the other, believe that she will be the next queen of the kingdom. The second daughter, named Chibuzo, said to her, "But Amaka, you know it's not possible." But she would insist that those ancient traditions would be changed in no distant time. Anybody can become king, and as the first child of the family, she should be king. Chibuzo said to her, "Okay, I wish you the best, but in my case, I want to get married to a prince, a very wealthy royal blood, either from this kingdom or, no, the neighboring kingdom. As long as he is wealthy, I don't mind." They both laughed. They turned to the third daughter, Chi. "How about you?" they asked. But she was absent-minded. "We are talking to you. How about you?" And she said, "There is no crime in what you desire for yourselves. But for me, I've decided to stand for love. I want to have the kind of love that mom and dad share together. I want to be happy like both of them are." They both looked at her and laughed. Amaka said, "I thought I was the greedy one, but yours is off the roof. I chose being a king. I never said anything about love." Chibuzo said, "I chose to marry a wealthy prince. I never said anything about love. But in your case," they continued, "you want the position of a queen. You want to have a wealthy man, and you also want to have love. Is that not greed? Choose one, and you're choosing all three." They both laughed at her. "Lover girl, mom's pets, please go away, Joe." Just then, the first son, Ifencheta, was passing by, greeted his three big sisters. They all answered him. As he passed by, and later came back to sit with them, and Amaka said, "Imagine me leaving the throne for my younger brother, Cheta." Chichi said, "That is the tradition." Bozo replied, "My friend, go inside." Queen Onyinye, on her own part, was not happy that his son did not become the heir apparent to the throne of the Chala. So she secretly was also trying to see if there was something she could do to get Ifencheta out of the way. She visited so many good and evil places, but everywhere she went to, she was told not to touch that boy because he has a clean heart. Her next mission was now to get to the heart of the king. The heart of the king is Queen Chidinma. But no matter what she does, the king's feelings for Chidinma still stood strong. Queen Onine's first daughter, Ife Sinachi, for one reason or the other, was very fond of Queen Chidinma's third daughter, Chichi. They always did things together. Even though Chichi was older than Fechi, Ife Sinachi still have a likeness for Chichi and always want to be around her. One day, as they were eating, the third daughter started throwing up. The king was surprised, same as everyone that was eating with them. The queen asked her daughter, "What is wrong, my child?" She said she has been feeling sick lately and could not place a finger on what it was. The queen turned to the king and said, "We need to send for the healer tomorrow." The king said, "Why not now? Guards!" Queen Chidinma stopped him immediately. "I said tomorrow, not now. It's late. The night could be dangerous. Tomorrow we will send for the healer. I can look after her tonight." The next day, the healer arrived. After close examination on Chichi, she came outside, where the king and the queen were waiting. The king asked, "What is wrong with my baby girl?" And the healer said, "She is pregnant." The king was shocked. The queen was shocked. The only thing the queen was able to ask was, "Please, who is responsible?" The healer said, "Only Chi can give us the answer to that question." King Dozie went inside and asked Chi, who was still drowsy from the herbs she had taken, "Baby girl, Obim, my love, who is responsible for your pregnancy?" She replied, "I have never been with a man before," and slept off. The question now is, who is responsible for the pregnancy? King Dozie turned and said, "This is the palace mystery." Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, and I'll see you on the Palace Mystery Part 2 very soon. God bless you. And adios.